Hey, how did that concert
Oh, I thought we were going live.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was so awesome.
Okay,
well,
it
we're
got me
live.
worried
Okay.
there was some weather coming in, so your plane didn't get delayed?
Nope, my flight was fine, made it on time, everything was smooth, had a great time.
That was at NC State, right?
No, it was at MetLife. Taylor Swift concert?
Yeah, where was
I
it?
saw her new one
Oh, no.
at MetLife.
Yeah,
I
because he
honestly
said,
wouldn't shut up about it yesterday at work. My coworkers were so annoying.
Hello, everyone. Week 5 for us this week, back home, hosting Western Carolina at 2 p.m. on Saturday at Johnson Haygood Stadium. And to speak about that is head football coach Maurice Strait. Coach?
All right, good afternoon, good afternoon. First of all, we want to say thank you to all the fans who made that long trip to Orangeburg, South Carolina. We had a great attendance, and the fans who were in attendance, they showed up and they showed out, and we're thankful to them for that. Their effort was there as fans. I really feel as if our team effort was there, but our execution was not. So we are getting better in certain categories, certain avenues, but it has not resulted yet in the win-loss column, and that's what we get judged on, and we're going to keep fighting for that.
I guess just going off the fans, obviously I know it's week 4. Obviously it's a long season, and you're preaching kind of, it's going to take a while to kind of get this thing turned around, but kind of what is another message to some of these fans about kind of staying patient the rest of the season?
Well, as much as I need to give a message to the fans, the most important message is to the team. And what we're doing right now, we're looking in the mirror, okay? And that image that's looking back at us, we're doing some soul searching from that standpoint. From all walks of the program, from the head coach down to the equipment manager. That's where we're starting that process, and it's always been a part of the process, but we're revisiting that aspect of it.
You mentioned on Saturday after the game kind of some of the mistakes that you guys are making. Do you kind of feel that most of these mistakes are correctable?
A lot of the mistakes are correctable. For instance, we misalignments, right? That should never happen. You have practice, you have walkthroughs, things of that nature. And anytime you misalign, it puts you out of position, and now you have maybe a further distance to run to make a tackle. So those are things that are correctable. So we have to figure out as coaches, as teachers, because we are teachers, how do we take a good week of preparation? And that's what we had. That was our best week of preparation thus far. Now how do we take it so it carries over into the game field? So, you know, we're putting some of that on us as the adults. We have to figure out that aspect of it.
And then you were asked kind of about the morale of the team. You said it kind of you're the thermostat to take after you. What do you think it says kind of about the team and your guys with that late touchdown that Cooper scored, that kind of everybody was still kind of in the game and excited for him?
Yes, so we're going to be excited anytime we score. Obviously, that's the goal. Scoring has not come easy thus far this season. The guys are still into it. I do know this. I take ownership of the locker room. I'm the thermostat. And let me tell you something. I'm bringing it every day. Every time the feet hit the ground, we hit the ground running. And really, it doesn't hit the ground often because I don't sleep. All right, so we're finding a way to reinvent some of the things that may be mundane to some, but we can't get bored with the basics. The basics, that foundation that we're trying to build, is what's going to springboard us once we get this thing rolling.
You say the guys are still into it. What were they saying? What was their mentality vibe like after the game in the locker room?
Well, they were disappointed. And rightfully so. And I'm glad they were disappointed. You show me a gracious loser, and I'll show you a loser. All right? Nobody likes to lose. So they were down. They were upset. But it's my job also to put my arm around them, not coddle them. All right? Put my arm around them, tell them the truth. What we have in our room on Sundays when we meet and practice is the truth room. And sometimes it's hard to see your actions on film, and sometimes it's hard to see, you know, hey, I made this mistake. And it's not just, sir, no excuse, sir. You have to explain the why. And if you're able to explain the why, and now as a coach, if I understand the why, we can fix it.
Going into games, do you and your staff maybe have a checklist or goal, say X amount of conversion on third down, X amount of big plays that you want to see in a game?
Absolutely. There's all kinds of charts that we live by, we go by. You know, you take this past game at SC State, we were 5 of 13 on third down, so we didn't reach that goal. On fourth down, we were 0 for 2, excuse me. We didn't reach that goal. You know, missed tackles. Sometimes you're going to have missed tackles when you have swarming or pursuit type defense, but we had too many missed tackles. And then I talked about the misassignments and misalignments. You know, that was disappointing. Yes.
Yeah, several times you guys were in position to make tackles, especially behind the line of scrimmage. I think 6 in the press box. So you're in the right place to make a play, but then how do you execute that day? Is there a way to do that during practice?
Yes, absolutely. There's a way to do it during practice. But understand this, I said this last week, those guys that we play against every Saturday, they're on scholarship too, and they're pretty darn good. But we do have techniques that we do practice, and it goes back to what I said earlier. We have to take the practice field now and bring it to the game field. You know, just because the lights come on, we can't lose our minds and revert back to old practices. We have to be able to carry that over from the practice field to the game field. And sometimes that's a process, especially when you're dealing with a young team. Yes, we do have some guys on our roster that are junior by label or senior by label, but a lot of these guys are first-year starters, or this is the first year they're having significant playing time. A couple of positives from the game. You know, we talk about Cale Williams, who's a freshman. He's a redshirt freshman. He had 9 tackles. This is his first year starting. Thomas Wyatt, who is a junior, he had 8 tackles. Melvin Ravenel, he's a sophomore, but it's his first year starting. He had 4 tackles and 1 interception. We've seen some improvement with him. And then Carson Walter, who is a senior for us, who has played, he had 6 tackles. So that's a positive. When I look at our true freshmen that played, we had 8 true freshmen. I'm talking about 17, 18 years old, freshly out of high school, to record stats. And of those 8, one of them's a walk-on who said, hey, I want to come to the Citadel to be a Citadel man, and oh, by the way, I want to play football. So we're taking that guy and we're putting him on the field because we don't care who plays. The best people will play. And he did a very good job.
I know it didn't have much bearing on the outcome, but your first punt with y'all shifting and they threw a false start, is that kind of, I don't know about y'all's normal lineup, but is that something that y'all will continue to do? And I guess not to throw the officials under the bus, but kind of they need to look out for?
Well, we meet with the officials before the game as a head coach, and we notify the officials of abnormal things that we may do. So there is a knowledge base there of the officials. I do know the officials watch film leading up to the game so that they can familiarize themselves with shifts, unbalanced sets, things of that nature. They made the call, and one thing about me, I'm not. The officials, they don't exist, right? They're a part of the opponent as far as we're concerned. So we won't ever get up in front of a microphone and talk about officials. I was an official one time, a high school wrestling official, and I know there's a human element to this thing. So those guys make mistakes, and it's okay.
Looking at Saturday, obviously Western Carolina kind of put it on Charleston Southern this past weekend. What jumps out on tape about Western?
Western is probably the most complete team we have played this year, and the most complete team that plays complementary football. Their offense is explosive. They have more than one quarterback who can toss the ball around and execute their offense. In addition to that, their defense is really good. And special teams is at a high level. The special teams coordinator, he trained out at the University of Oregon. He trained under Bobby Williams, who was at Alabama for many years. And then going back to the head coach, let's not forget Kerwin. Coach he's a winner. All right, he's a walk-on that went to the University of Florida. He earned his way. He played in the National Football League, played in the Canadian Football League, played in the World League. So he has a wealth of knowledge about football, about offenses. Then he gets into coaching at Jacksonville University, and he does a fine job there from 2007 to 2015, roughly. And then he gets the Valdosta State job. And in his third year, he wins a national championship. So someone asked me today, are you surprised that Western's good? Absolutely not, because he's in his third year at Western Carolina. So they're kicking butt, and they're right on schedule with what he has done in the past.
They may have been doing it in previous games, but I know they had a lot of big plays against Charleston Southern Saturday. Kind of how important is the defense to kind of limit those big plays on Saturday?
Well, that's everything, and that has been our Achilles heel this year defensively, so we have to put more of an emphasis on it. Obviously, we're looking at detailing our work. We're looking at some other aspects that we could do that could give us not necessarily an advantage, but an opportunity to be in position, to get a ball carrier on the ground, etc.
You talked about Kerwin Bell. I feel like we ask you about the other coach every year, but every week. How well do you know him, though? Do you know him well?
I just know him from afar. Being a student at a game, watching football. That's why I was able to regurgitate, who he is. Not because I studied it before I came here. Mm-hmm. It's because I'm a fan too, right? So I've watched him. I feel pretty good about knowing who he is and his coaching staff. The coaching staff is very good. And the Southern Conference itself is getting back to what I remember, years ago. Southern Conference is going to be back at the top of the premier conference in all of FCS.
Well, what about the status for Dustin on Saturday?
It's to be determined. He has a battery of things he has to go through. We will never put a young man out there if he's not ready to play.
Does SC State, maybe the previous teams that you played, is their offense maybe similar to Western, kind of how they kind of distribute the wealth on offense?
Distribute the wealth, yes, but it's a different offense. Yeah, so we'll have to get ready for a different offense.
You just talk about Grayson and how he finished the game. I thought he threw the ball pretty well for you.
Yeah, Grayson did, and we always had plans for Grayson to go in the game. I think that was a question last week as well too. Right now, the idea and the plan was to play both quarterbacks. We feel very confident with Grayson. Matter of fact, when Grayson went in, no one flinched. We didn't blink. We were ready to go and try to execute our plan.
Third down, getting off the field on third down on defense, staying on the field third down. It seems to be a big down for you guys. How can you execute better on both sides of the ball?
No, you're absolutely right. Third down on both sides of the ball has been an Achilles heel. We emphasize it in practice. We have to continue to emphasize it. I have to be creative in different ways to get the word third down, to create something in a young man's brain that makes him realize, hey, this is heightened. Every down is important, but this is a heightened down. Talking about our defense, I will say it is getting better, and I can see it. And if you want to look at statistically, if you go through 4 games last year to this year, we're better in yards per rush. Last year was 6.5, we're 5.6. Last year we had 2 sacks to date. This year we have 3. Tackles for loss last year was 9. Right now we're at 13. Interceptions last year at this time was 1. We now have 3. QB hits last year was 3. We now have 6. Pass breakups last year were 3. We now have 4. So there is improvement. It's just not in the win-loss column at the moment. I remember I was interviewing for a job with Chuck Reed at Goose Creek High School. And during the interview, he said, Mo, we want to hire you, but understand this coming in. We potentially will be a better team next year, your first year, but our record may not be better just because of how the schedule lines up or how, the complexion of the league that time. I think it was 4A and we might have been going to Big 16 or something to that effect. So, you know, it's important that these young men, they hear that, they see that, they know they're getting better. And right now, they're hungry. They want to get after these guys.
And how do you stay on the field on third down, which seems like a big, offensively?
Yeah, we have to win first down.
Yeah.
You have to win second down, so that your third downs are manageable. Early on in the SC State game, we had an opportunity to convert, and, before the opportunity to convert, I think we jumped off sides, so it made it 1st and 15. So you're playing behind the sticks. So in order to stay on the field on third down, we have to win on first and second down.
I had a longtime female fan called, sent me an email. What can fans like her who've been following the program for 30, 40, I think she said 50 years, what can they do to help the program?
Wow, that sounds like that could be Mama O'Neill. I don't know who it is, but just continue to, I believe in karma. I believe in well wishes. Just send those good vibes to us. If you're able to come out and support us. We would welcome that. Our guys would welcome that as well.
Injuries?
Yeah, we're beat up.
Yeah.
We played a football game.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're beat up. No injuries outside of the one we mentioned earlier that could possibly limit us Saturday, but we're beat up physically. So once again, as a leader of a program, I have to adjust the approach for practice this week so that we're as fresh as we can be for Saturday.
And how do you stay optimistic?
That's just who I am. I'm built to go attack each mission as if we're going to like it's the only mission. So while I have to have a broad view of things, I also have a selective view where I can get into this tunnel vision, and the only thing I see is the mission at hand. And it's just self-driven, built that way. You can thank my parents for that. We're positive.
You talk about building a program. You talk about you hope people see you're a better team, and even if the record doesn't see it. What do you hope recruits or kids that kind of are looking at this program are taking away from or seeing from you right now?
Well, there are NCAA rules and how much I can talk
Yeah.
about recruiting, but I can tell you recruiting is not an issue. We have top tier young men who want to be a part of our program. They just have to go through the process, and we'll see how it works out in the end. We know that this recruiting thing, it's you're one day you're hot, the next day you're not. NIL is going to play into a lot of it going forward because we are being courted, so to speak. We are being courted. It's not necessarily we are courting them with some top tier talent that, quite frankly, we haven't seen in these gates in a long time.
Any memories stick out or stand out from your playing days against Western?
Absolutely. There was a running back for Western, ended up playing with the Carolina Panthers. We called him Hoover the Mover because he just found a way to get first downs. There was a D-line player. I can't think of his first name, last name Scott, but he coaches in the National Football League now. We actually have a great relationship. I'm drawing a blank. But we talked about the battles between those guys. And now, understand this. The last 2 out of 3 times that Western has come to Charleston, South Carolina, they have won. So they know how to come out of the mountains of Cullowhee and play a good football game. They know how to deal with the heat. It's a program where the legendary Don Powers cut his teeth, and he came from. So this rivalry dates far back.
Did you play against David Patton? Or was he?
How old is David?
That's what I was trying to, yeah.
I think he's
around your age.
slightly older than me.
Okay.
It might have been during my freshman year before I actually got on the field. And this is what we can't lose sight of. We talked about freshmen earlier, and we are a young team, and we're playing a lot of freshmen. The Citadel has been its best when they've played with fourth and fifth year players with game experience that have started previous years. So the future's bright, and that's what keeps me positive as well too, because I see the plan, and as long as we execute the plan, no matter how small the step is going forward each day, we're moving forward, and we will reach that goal.
Coach, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank you guys. Appreciate it.